Compete against your horticulturist peers for projects that will cement your place as the community's premier gardener in Succulent. Thank you for joining me today at Tantrum Mouse Studio D. I'm Kevin Delp. Succulent is a tile-laying game for 2 to 4 players. It takes about 45 to 60 minutes to play. It's designed by J. Alex Cavern. It's published by Renegade Game Studios, and they sent us this copy to review. Players begin the game with a player board, flower tokens in their color, a gardener token of the color, and some flower beds. In the main play area, you have the garden with the outer edges face down and the inner boards face up. Project cards in the project row, and then items in the supply nearby. Here's a quick overview of the game. There are a number of rounds in the game, and in a given round, players take one action, and they may also complete a project. They'll be gaining and placing flower beds, they'll be gaining different colored flower cuttings, and more in order to complete those projects, which will hopefully give them enough victory points to win the game. If you place a flower bed on your turn, you cover an area in the main play area and gain the cuttings or even droplets that are shown. You also place your colored flower token on that flower bed. The only way to gain more flower beds is to send your gardener token to one of the project cards and get the flower bed shown on that card. When someone completes the project that has a gardener token, the player with the gardener token receives a large droplet which could help them toward endgame scoring. In addition to either gaining or placing a flower bed, you may complete a project. You pay the cost as shown at the top of the card. Some have an immediate benefit like a new cutting, and also have some sort of endgame scoring like straight up points or even points based on certain conditions at the end of the game. If you ever cover the last droplet on a plot, you reveal a new garden plot. You immediately get to place one small bed from your inventory as well. Players gain a small droplet for each of their beds that is adjacent to this newly revealed flower bed. Small droplets on your board fill different areas, and once an area is completely filled, can count as one of the cuttings of that type to help you pay for a project card. The game end is triggered when someone runs out of flower tokens or one person completes a certain number of projects depending on player count. You'll finish that round, play one more round, and then count up endgame points. Points from all your collected projects, where your large droplets are, and some points based on your remaining items. And whoever has the most points wins. If there is a tie, it goes to the player who has the most flowers out in the garden. Now this game is so easy to teach, which is great. All you're doing is either placing a flower bed or gaining flower beds and then completing the projects. The strategy lies in when to do those actions. Should you go for laying your beds right away, or go after more flower beds because there are some larger ones available on the project cards? I really like trying to figure out what projects other players are trying to accomplish, so I place my gardener token on that project card, and then I'll hopefully get that back really soon with a large water droplet, which is hopefully endgame points. Now, you can complete a project where your gardener token is, but it might take you a little bit longer. You might actually need more flower beds, and you are allowed to move your gardener token to another project to get more flower beds, but that's not as efficient. And every player's greenhouse, the player board, is a little different with the number of droplets needed to complete certain color cuttings. One of the things I really like about Succulent are some of the combos that you can do in the game. For instance, I could lay a flower bed on the last droplet in a garden area, meaning I can then flip over a new garden plot, hopefully based on where my other flower beds are, getting even more water droplets. And if I have a single flower bed available, I'm allowed to place that anywhere out on the garden plots, getting, of course, a new flower cutting, and hopefully then getting the project card that I need. There are a bunch of different project cards. I found trying to go after ones that give you points based on certain conditions, like one scoring a point for each black cutting, can get you some major points at the end of the game. One critique that I have is that the dark colored cutting didn't really match the project card or the flower token on the garden plot. I personally really enjoy this gardening theme. I don't know if it really translates into the gameplay, but what I do know is there is a lot of replayability in Succulent. From the decisions that you're making, to all these cards that are in the game, to the garden plots themselves because they're arranged differently each game, even to the player boards because they are all different and unique and they change up how you play the game too. The graphic design is clear and easy to understand. I really like the illustrations on the player boards. I really enjoyed how the flower tokens were able to set inside the flower beds. One of the other things I really appreciate is the handy reference on the back of the rulebook that explains some of those project cards. So if you're looking for a relaxing, easy to teach tile laying game, then check out Succulent from Renegade Game Studios. And as always, we would love for you to subscribe to our channel and hit the like button for this video. Compete against your horticulturist peers. Compete against your horticulturist peers that will cement your play for projects. Game in any given round, players will take one action and they may complete a project.